Hi, this is Maggie with Traction Tools. Today I'd like to show you how to run a level 10 meeting. Just to give you a little bit of background about how the content is populated in your meeting, you can do all of that right from your workspace. So you can see here that on my demo account, I have a Leadership L10 scorecard pulled up. There's a to-do, milestone, and a rock tile as well. So I can fill in any data here that I need to for my meeting prior to us running the level 10 meeting. So once we get into the meeting, you'll see all the 12s that I've entered here. You can see I'm going to mark the gather proposals, Leadership L10 to do complete, and let's change the status on a rock here. So I'm going to move that to done. So you'll be able to see all of these changes in the meeting. So now I'm going to click L10 in the menu bar. We have all of our meetings listed here. Once the meeting is created for you, you just use the same meeting every single week. So here I'm going to click on the Leadership L10 and we're on our start page. So the meeting hasn't started yet. We're waiting for our meeting leader to click the Start Meeting as Leader button. And one recommendation for everyone is to leave everyone checked on this list here. That way when you conclude the meeting, even if a person was absent, they will receive an email summary containing the complete to-do list, all of the people headlines that were discussed, including the notes, and all the issues solved, including notes and any to-dos that came out of those issues. So here, I'm just going to click Start Meeting as Leader. We end up in our segue. On the top left, you can see an elapsed timer has appeared, so that's just going to count how long we've been in our meeting, and that is just my current local time. On the top right here, we can see a Notes, New Issue, and New To Do button. These three buttons will follow us throughout the rest of the meeting. So moving into the scorecard, you can see our scorecard, all of our data here for the last 13 weeks. You can see all the 12s that I entered in on the workspace a moment ago. And you'll notice that there's a few buttons here. We have 3 different ways that you can add an issue or to do from this screen. So I just like to cover that from the top down. So in the menu bar here at the top, you have the checkbox, a push pin, and a banner icon. So these allow you to create to-dos, issues, and people headlines. And then inside of your meeting, you have the buttons in white that we saw in the segue section as well, and that will continue to follow us. And we also have the buttons in the blue highlighted section here. So if I click the checkbox in the menu bar, it allows me to choose where my to-do is going to go, and then I can even assign it to multiple people. And I do have the option here to add something to my personal to-do list. And now when I click the New To Do inside of the meeting, I can now just choose the people I want to add this to. So I don't have to choose the meeting because I'm already in the Leadership L10. And now the push pin and the checkbox, when you use these buttons, we call them context-aware buttons because they pull data in from the cell that you're clicking next to. So if we'd like to IDS this and I click this push pin, it pulls in all that data for me for that 30-day pipeline measurable, lets me know what the goal was, what was recorded, and what we missed the goal by. You can even see that Sue is the owner and Eileen Sharp is listed as the admin on this measurable. So all we have to do is click OK, and that will drop down to our IDS section, and we will see that once we get there. And once you've moved through here, you can get to your rock section just by clicking Rock Review. And now we can click on any one of our rocks. It'll bring up a notepad on the side here. If Art did have any milestones created, we would be able to see them on the bottom right hand side, and we'd also be able to see a progress bar like you're seeing above some of the other rocks here. So I'm going to click on Eileen Sharp's rock, and I'm going to move it from done to on track, and you'll see the progress bar change color. So you can see our last 2 milestones haven't been completed, but they're not late yet, so our progress bar remains blue. Now I can check these off as complete, and it will change our progress bar to green. If we didn't have some of them done, it would turn red, letting us know we were off track. So just a great visual for the team to know if you're getting your milestones done and whether you are really on track, off track, or done. And then you could manage your milestones in here as well. So this test one that I've created, I'm going to click the trash can on the right hand side and remove that. I can also click on any one of the titles of my milestones if I'd like to update the title, change my due date, or I can even mark it as incomplete here. You can also hover over the bubbles to see the title of the milestone. And then I can also click on it from right here to make changes. And if you need to create an issue or a to-do out of any one of your rocks, you can do that using the context-aware buttons, just like we saw on the scorecard. So I can click this push pin, and it pulls in my rock title, lets me know that it's Eileen Sharps and that it's marked on track right now. We can, of course, take more notes if we'd like to, and then we can click OK, and it will drop down to our IDS list. So now once we're done with our rock review, we'll move into the people headlines. And your team can add people headlines anytime during the week. If you're not by your computer, we actually have a really nice feature, a texting action that allows you to text directly into your meeting. So it's a one-time setup. You'll use a Traction Tools phone number that we have provided for you, text a random code to that phone number, and you're all set. You'll just be able to use that number over and over again to text a people headline to Traction Tools. And that also applies to your to-do list and your issues section. So if you ever want to add an item to IDS, a to-do, or a people headline, you can set that up with a texting action. And of course, just anytime during the week, if you're by your computer, you can use the buttons in the menu bar here. They will follow you everywhere you go in the software. So here on the people headlines, we can click on any one of these and view any notes that were taken here. If we perhaps wanted to share this people headline with another meeting, we can click the arrow icon and then send this to another team. We can also IDS it and create a to-do out of it. So we can click that push pin. It pulls in all the details for us, and then I can click OK and it'll drop down. So now moving into the to-do list, you can see our to-do percent is at 50% right now, and I can continue marking these off as complete. Once you reach at least 90%, you'll get a congratulations and some fireworks. Thankfully, we got to 100%. Snaps for everyone. And we can click on any one of our to-dos. Opens up our note box on the side. We can see any notes that were already taken and of course continue taking notes. At the bottom of this to-do, we can choose to assign the owner to somebody else. So perhaps Art wasn't able to get this one done. He's asking for some help and Carol's volunteered to take that on. So we can just change the owner right away, and you can see Carol's profile picture has popped in there right away as well. And if we need to IDS any of these, when I click this push pin, it lets me know that this to-do is incomplete. So if it is a completed to-do, you can mark it as complete and still IDS it. It will just remove that incomplete verbiage. So now moving into the IDS section. Once you come in here, you'll be prioritizing your issues. So you can choose the top 3 that you'd like to discuss first. We just click into the gray circles to choose our top 3, and it'll auto sort and bring them to the top for us. And we can also change our mind if we wanted to change one of the numbers or multiple numbers. We could just continue clicking in the gray circles and choose a new 3. There's also a clear selection button for you here at the top, so you can remove all 3 numbers at once. So now we can click on our first issue and we can start IDSing, taking notes, and any action items that we want to take out of this, we can use some of the options here on the right hand side. So if maybe we needed to take a to-do out of this, we can click the checkbox, and everyone is going to take a to-do and think about the scorecard measurables that they'd like for their department. And I click OK, and that to-do will be created for all of those people. And we will be able to confirm that once we reach conclude. So now, hopefully that will resolve this issue, so I'm just going to go ahead and archive it. Now our next issue here, if we wanted to share this with another meeting, we can click this arrow icon and send it to another meeting. Click OK, and it will move it. Now, once an issue has been moved, you have two options. You can either leave it on your list and wait for the other team to resolve it. We have a neat feature that changes this moved label to a green solved label. And so you'll be able to see that the Finance L10 has resolved this issue, and you can also then click on it to see if they have taken any notes. So we would be able to see all of their notes here on the right-hand side. And now if you just wanted to move this issue, get it off your plate, another team is going to IDS it. You can just archive it here if you don't need to know anything further. And now our last issue here, so last button I want to show you is the VTO button. This moves an item to your long-term issues list. So I'm going to click that. You can see undo options coming up on the bottom left here as I've been moving items and archiving items. So you can Control Z if you ever mistakenly click on a button in here. If you accidentally archive something, you can just Control Z and that'll come right back. But for the VTO issue, I do want to show you where that went. So I'm going to click View VTO here on the left-hand side. And we're going to scroll down. And here is our issues list. I did add the title of long-term, so feel free to change the titles here. And there's the proposals issue that we just added. So if I'd like to move this back into our IDS list, we can click IDS here on the side. You can see it highlights in orange. So I click that, it moves it right back to our meeting, and then I can click the back button here on the top left, and there's our proposals number. And now moving into the conclude section, you can see a recap of all of the to-dos. So these were all the to-dos that we created this time. And any cascading messages, you're just taking a to-do if there is a message you need to cascade. So something that I like to do is I like to call it a cascade message. And then I'll say whatever it is that I need to cascade. That way I can easily identify it on my to-do list. And if I click OK here, it does get added, so we can see that in our recap, and we can see we created a new to-do. In the rating section, everyone can go through and rate the meeting. And if somebody wasn't there that day, so we'll say Lisa Thompson wasn't there that day, we will not enter a meeting rating here for her, and she will still receive the email summary because she's considered an attendee. And then we'll leave these boxes checked to close our completed to-dos and close the people headlines, so it'll clean up our meeting and keep it fresh for the next week. And here we're going to go ahead and click conclude. That brings us to our stats page. This is actually what's recorded on your stats tile, your issues solved, to-do percent completion, and your average meeting rating. And in the average meeting rating, you do have a last opportunity here to make a change. So perhaps if somebody didn't have a chance to update it before we concluded the meeting, we can come in here and we can make that change. So if I put an 8 in there for Lisa, you'll be able to see our average drop. And once you conclude your meeting, you can go on about your day, go back to your workspace. You'll see all of your information has been updated, new to-dos appearing, old to-dos that you've completed have been archived. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to us. There's a drop down on the top right here by your name and icon. There's a contact support option in here for you, so please feel free to reach out to our team anytime. And we also have a knowledge base for you if you prefer to explore and try to find the answer on your own. There's great articles and videos included in our knowledge base. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.